The silence in the car was punctuated by Leo's rhythmic tapping on the dashboard. "I can't do this," he said, switching to massaging his sternum with his palm. Given the tightness in his chest and the fact that he was struggling to breathe, he was fairly sure he was having a heart attack. His best friend in the driver's seat had reassured him otherwise multiple times. "This is called panic," Hugh told him in his usual level tone. "It's normal." "You're not medically trained." Leo sucked in a lungful of air. "I might genuinely be having a heart attack for all you know." "You're a fit and healthy 30-year-old. A heart attack seems unlikely." Pushing his head back into the headrest, Leo tried to think rationally about the situation, but the panic zapped any thoughts that tried to form. "I can't do this," he said again. "And could you please stop looking all smug and amused?" "It's kind of funny," Hugh replied, his crow's feet becoming more prominent with his smile. Along with the smattering of grey at his temples, it added to his distinguished air. He was only a couple of years older than Leo, but it always seemed like an old soul. Even back in their school days, he'd been the sensible member of their friendship group. "It's not funny." Leo's chest felt as though it was being crushed, and all his friend could do was smirk. "Why didn't you tell me before that this was a bad idea?" he demanded, snapping his head around to Hugh. "You know how terrible I am at responsibility. I was supposed to be a carefree bachelor forever. Why the heck didn't you talk me out of this?" "Because I happen to think this is probably going to be the best day of your life, if you ever get out of my car." Leo looked out of the window. It was a stunning spring day in Devon. The cloudless blue sky could be taken as a positive sign, if he were inclined to look for signs. "Hey!" Hugh clicked his fingers in front of Leo's face to get his attention. "Remember yesterday? What were you saying then? Something about the love of your life? How beautiful is she again? Because that was a hot topic yesterday, as I recall." "I'd had a beer yesterday." "You were wittering about how in love you were long before the beer." "I was on some sort of euphoric high, but it's past. Now I'm thinking that if I really loved her, I wouldn't inflict myself on her. She'd be way better off without me." "I'm going to say this one more time," Hugh said gruffly. "Being terrified is normal. I've been where you are, and I felt exactly how you do now. But I can tell you that this is something you're never going to regret." "It was different for you. You planned on having a family. I just..." Leo trailed off, wincing at the situation he'd got himself into. "Forgot to wear a condom?" "Essentially, yes." He shook his head. "If I'm not even responsible enough to use contraception, surely I'm not responsible enough to raise a child." Hugh continued with his condescending smile, then sighed loudly and turned the key in the ignition, starting the engine. "Maybe you're right," he said gently. "It might be better if I take you home now. This is probably a bad idea." Leo's hand went instinctively to the door handle. "What?" "It's probably better to walk away from this now than a few months or years down the line, if you're not sure you want this." "Of course I bloody want it," Leo snapped, swinging the door open and jumping out. Turning back, he glared into the car. "I know you just used reverse psychology on me." "It's far too easy." Straightening up, Leo glanced up at the bright white maternity hospital and mustered all the courage he could. After closing the car door and taking a couple of steps, Hugh called out to him. The passenger window was down, and he leaned across the console. "Car seat," he said, making Leo's courage evaporate. He really had no clue what he was doing. Opening the back door, he took the black infant seat, which Hugh had helped him pick out. Over the last couple of months, they'd been mistaken for a gay couple on several occasions. While Hugh had been fairly mortified, Leo had leaned into it. If nothing else, it had injected some humour into his situation. "I'll drive around a bit," Hugh told him. And it hit Leo just how grateful he was to his best friend. There was no way he'd have coped with all this without him.